So, good morning, students. Today we will be taking up kinetic theory of gases. I'll be taking up this topic as this was one of your leftovers. So there is thermodynamics, which will come after this. Well, I will not go into much detail of this, but main salient points which are important. See, when you talk about matter, matter. How many states matter exist? It exists in solid, liquid, and gaseous state. So if you take a sample, the molecules are tightly packed in solid. Okay, they are tightly packed. That means their what you call molecular distances is very less in case of solids. Liquid, they're slightly loose. Okay, and when you come to gas, it is much higher. Okay, so this is basically the difference between these three states of matter. So if you take a gas, the intermolecular distances between the particles, the distances will be higher in case of the gas. It can easily expand, but this is tight, So this is one point. So we need to know a little bit about gases first. What are the governing equations, and which we have to understand first in order to study this kinetic theory of gases. So in this study, we actually come across a term called ideal gases. Now let me tell you that ideal gases is a hypothetical thing. It's a hypothetical thing, ideal gases, and it is basically we can say that it's a good calculation of, good approximation of, approximation of so I will use a term called approximation here. Good approximation of behavior of many gases. Behavior of many gases. Okay. So when you want to study gases, we have framed a term called ideal gases. Ideal gases is hypothetical. Okay, it's a theoretical thing. And basically, when you study gases means when you are studying what you call Newton laws of motion. What are you studying? You are studying law 1, law 2, law 3. You have got some formula and all those things. So similarly, we have an ideal gas law also. So why we are studying this means it gives a good approximation of general behavior of many gases. Now this ideal gases equation, ideal gas law. Now that is basically a combination of. It's a combination of this ideal gases. There is a law. Okay. Now this is a combination of Boyle's law, Charles' law, Avogadro's law, and Gay-Lussac's law. All these things you might have come across in chemistry also, but here using kinetic theory of gases also we can derive the expression for ideal gas law. Okay, so this is the point you have to know. One by one we will see briefly what are these laws. Okay, so let us take up this Boyle's law. See, in any gas law, you are basically studying the interrelationship between pressure, volume and temperature. Usually one is kept constant because if you vary all these three, studying a gas becomes very difficult. See, suppose you take a jar, okay, you put stones into it. You can tell the volume, and you put some liquid. The liquid volume will be the volume of this jar. But suppose you take a room, okay, and you release little bit of gas into this room. The gas will occupy all over the place. Okay, it's highly expansive. So for studying purpose, when we are any gas law is basically interrelationship between these three parameters. Okay, so what Boyle observed was the product of pressure and volume is constant at constant temperature. At constant temperature, here the important term is constant temperature. He observed that the product of pressure and volume is always a constant. Okay, so analogously, if I have to tell you, suppose you take a cylinder, alright, inside cylinder there is nothing, but actually there is air molecules are there, right? Let's say at constant temperature I apply, using a piston, I apply a force, I apply a pressure, what will happen? Now the present volume is this much, right? Because of this, when you apply the pressure on the top of the container, what will happen? The intermolecular distances, will it increase or decrease? It will decrease. So it will become more tightly packed, isn't it? So what happened? When you increase the pressure, the volume dropped. Okay, this kind of relationship he observed, and this is called Boyle's law. So the extension of this would be P1 V1 is equal to P2 V2. Okay, so this is the equation of Boyle's law. Graphically, if you want to understand, if you want to plot a graph, pressure versus volume. If you are increasing the pressure, volume will drop. You see this equation, is it not y is equal to k by x types? So it will be a hyperbola. It will be like this. Okay, you put very large pressure, the volume will drop. When you are moving towards 0, that means when you are decreasing the pressure, the volume is shooting up. It is as if, you know, that piston, when you are removing, the volume will increase. When you are applying pressure, the volume is decreasing. Okay, so this is the first law, Boyle's law. Important thing you need to understand here is, when temperature is constant, PV is equal to constant. So in Boyle's law, when you are talking about that PV is equal to constant and that graph, the graph was like this. Okay, this is P, this is V. So essentially what you are saying, P is proportional to 1 by V. This is what you have to understand. You increase the volume, there is a drop in the pressure. Okay, so this is the relationship what Boyle established. See, all these things you might have studied in chemistry also. It is just a quick revision of that. Next is Charles' law. It is also called law of volumes. Okay, now basically this law, how gases tend to expand when heated. This is what is this law all about. How gases tend to expand when heated. Expand means volume. Heated means you are bringing temperature, right? So what is constant here? Pressure is constant here. Pressure is kept constant. Okay. So it was observed that when the temperature is increased, volume is increased in a linear fashion. In a linear fashion, not passion, tongue slip, linear fashion. Alright, so there is a direct relationship. That means, so V is directly proportional to T. Okay, what is the condition? You need to keep this constant. If you are not keeping this constant, there is no meaning in it. So that means V must be equal to some constant K into T. This is a non-zero. This must be a non-zero term, right? In other words, we can write V1 T1 is equal to V2 T2. But the important condition for this to be applied, this to be possible is that pressure must be constant and temperature should be in degrees Celsius. No, the temperature should be only in Kelvin scale. I hope you know what is a Kelvin scale. Okay, the temperatures must be in the Kelvin scale. So if you find any problems, where this is been asked, you should know that you have to convert the temperature into Kelvin. Do not forget to do that, otherwise your whole calculation will go wrong. Okay, so next, see, conceptually when you're talking about Charles law, what are you doing basically? So when you, let us say, heat, inside this there is gas, okay, you have kept pressure constant. So when you are supplying heat, what will happen? The gas will try to expand or what? Expand or not? The molecules will try to hit each other at a more random and at a very high space. So it will lead to more expansion of the gas. So when you cool it off, it will try to contract. So this is what conceptually also we can understand how Charles law is. When you are increasing the temperature, what is happening? Basically the volume is increasing. Okay. So let us move to the third one in the series, Avogadro's law. Now this law talks about the numbers, it talks about numbers. It is basically a special case of ideal gas law. So special case of ideal gas law. We will see what is this ideal gas law later. Okay. Now it says that equal, when you keep what it says is, when you keep pressure and temperature, these two things constant, all gases will have same number of molecules. This is what this law talks about. But the important thing is, you have to keep pressure and temperature constant. All gases will have same number of molecules. Mathematically, it is like V1 by N1 is equal to V2 by N2. V1 is first volume, V2 is second volume. What is N1 and 2? They are moles. So Avogadro's law establishes about numbers. In the previous two laws, we were not talking about number of molecules, but in this law we talk about number of molecules. But the condition is, you have to keep these two constant. Okay? So just make a note of this. So important relationship is this when you talk about Avogadro's law. Let us move to the next one, Gay-Lussac's law. Now it says that when you keep volume constant, volume of the enclosure constant, you increase the pressure, you increase the temperature, not pressure. You increase when temperature raised, molecules experience more pressure. Molecules experience more pressure. Alright, it's like this, So same analogy we will take. Now this volume you have kept, constant. What will happen? You are increasing the temperature. The gas molecules inside, will they experience more pressure or less pressure? They will experience more pressure because it is not able to. There is a restriction, It is like a room in which you cannot escape out. So when you are increasing the temperature, the pressure experienced by the molecules will rise up. So mathematically it is P by D is equal to constant. You can call it some K. Now this K is different, okay? In the case of Boyle's law also we are talking about some K. So these constants are different, but basically P by D is a constant. Condition is this must be kept constant. If you keep volume as constant, volume parameter, okay, a gas will have a pressure parameter, temperature parameter and a volume parameter. So here if you keep volume parameter as a constant thing, you will see that the pressure divided by the temperature is a constant thing, and the temperature here always we are talking about in Kelvin scale, okay, no degree Celsius and all those things. So extension of this will be P1 by T1 is equal to P2 by T2. And graphically if you want to understand, if you want to draw a graph, so this is your temperature axis. See, always this x-axis is a independent axis and the y-axis is a dependent axis. This pressure is dependent upon this temperature, okay. So when you are rising this temperature, it was found to be a linear variation. You rise the temperature, the pressure experience is more. The power has went out, I think. So the screen may have become little dark. I hope you are able to see. Just pause and make a quick note. So with this, all the 4 laws we have seen. Okay. Now having seen all these 4 laws, now let us see the combined law. Okay, let us combine this. Till now what we have seen in Boyle's law, we have observed that volume is inversely proportional to pressure. Okay, you increase the volume, decreases the pressure. So here T is constant. T means automatically N and T are constant. The moles are also kept constant. The number of molecules are kept constant. Okay. The second law, Charles' law, V is directly proportional to temperature. Temperature is in Kelvin. So here, which parameters will kept constant? P and N. In the third case, Avogadro law, it talks about number we have discussed. So volume is directly proportional to the moles. Okay. Provided you keep pressure and temperature constant. Always temperature is in Kelvins. Okay. Now combine these 3. If you see the combined proportionality, you have V is proportional to NT divided by P. Okay. So V is proportional to NT by P, or PV is equal to some constant into NT. So that constant we are calling as R. What is R? R is universal gas constant and its value is 8.314. Alright. Units, joules per mole Kelvin. See, it is like this. R means what? PV divided by NT, no? So the unit of R will be PV by NT. PV by NT unit you will get. Pressure versus pressure and volume you take. What is pressure? Force by area. Volume is area into length. No? So area gone, force into length. So you are getting some work. You are getting in joules. Okay. N is in moles, T is in kelvins. T is always in kelvins. So joule per mole Kelvin, and the value is 8.314. This is called universal gas constant. It is same for all the gases. Okay. Now let us get into the kinetic theory. You see this combined gas law, which is also called ideal gas law, which we have derived. We can derive using kinetic theory also. So till now what we have seen is, so there is a gaseous state. I take some containment, okay, you can say a room or anything. This gas will be having molecules, okay. The entire room is filled up with this gaseous molecules. It depends upon the type of gas, hydrogen gas or nitrogen or whatever, okay. Now how about the shape of these molecules? It is spherical. First point. Okay. Even at room temperature, now this is molecule A, this is molecule B, even at room temperature they won't be sitting quite like this. There will be random collisions happening in other directions. If you give more temperature, the collisions will increase actually. But a gas is never in a standstill mode. Okay. So there are collisions happening. So two types of collisions. One, particle to particle, particle to particle, and the second one, you can call this wall, wall, this is ceiling, this is wall, this is your floor. You just imagine your room. Okay. So the second type of will be particle to wall, you can call boundaries. Wall to wall you will have no collision, isn't it? Wall is a solid thing, this is a solid thing. You are talking about particle collision with the particles or particle collision with the walls. So these both are considered to be elastic collisions. Elastic collisions we have covered in the you must have covered in the class 11 discussions. The collisions will be elastic. Then yeah, suppose you take a constant temperature. Okay, obviously we're talking in kelvins. You take a constant temperature, they are colliding means they will be possessing kinetic energy. So this particle will have some kinetic energy, this particle will have some kinetic energy. The collective kinetic energy, okay, you can say the average kinetic energy, the kinetic energy is constant, okay, when at constant temperature. I am telling you these basics you should know, okay. So we have seen the particle type, collisions we have seen, the kinetic energy part. Alright. Now this particle is hitting here. Now this particle is hitting here. This particle is hitting here. When it is hitting here, here some pressure P1, some pressure P2, some pressure P3, some pressure P4. What is the relationship? The relationship is P1 is equal to P2 is equal to P3 is equal to P4. The pressure in all directions is same. Okay. So this is one more point. And if you take a specific volume, you have to take the moles by volume ratio. Mole per volume is also constant when we are talking about this theory. Let me just a little bit adjust this camera, okay, so that you can write down all these points. So this is about shape, pressure is same in all directions, collisions are elastic, kinetic energy is constant provided you keep the temperature constant. When you increase the temperature, already they are hitting each other, the collisions will become even more rapid and random, okay. So then the kinetic energy will rise, and this N upon V also, the moles per volume also is constant. So let us go back to that ideal gas law. PV is equal to nRT. Now here different ways of writing the same expression you should know. Formula based questions will come. So you should know how to write the same expression in different ways. So what are the terms here? P is pressure, V is volume. Now N is what always create confusion. R is the universal gas constant, 8.314 joule per mole Kelvin, and temperature is in kelvins. Now let us talk about this N, number of moles. So in how many ways we can write this N, number of moles? N is equal to actual mass by molar mass, molecular weight, okay. So this can be M by MW. Another way of writing is number of molecules present by Avogadro number. This is another way of writing it. So number of molecules present, let us say n divided by Na. So n can be written as, one way of writing is m by nw. Another way of writing is n upon Na. This is very important actually. Okay, so you should know this point. So here you can note that on this ideal gas law, many questions are asked. Okay, so let us write it in different ways possible. So n, we have just now seen that it can be written in one way as m upon mw, and can also be written as n upon Na. So let us just put these values. So PV is equal to m upon mw into RT. This is one way of writing. So we can take mw this side. This becomes m upon V into RT. This is mass by volume. So it is the density value. Okay. So this is one way of writing. This is another way of writing. This is the original way. Okay. You can also write PV is equal to, in the place of n, you write n upon Na into RT. Depending upon the question, you should frame the equation. I would say that only remember this and this. Rest all is derivable. So here PV is equal to n multiplied by Na. I can rearrange this. So this term is, a special name is there. It's a special constant. It's called Boltzmann constant. Boltzmann constant. What is the value of Boltzmann constant? It is 1.38 into 10 to the power of minus 23 m square kg second to the power of minus 2 Kelvin to the power of minus 1. This is the Boltzmann constant value. Okay. So this is another way of writing. Okay. So how many ways? 1, 2, 3 and 4. So these variations you should know. Depending upon the question, you should frame accordingly and you should write. What is Avogadro number? I am sure all of you know it. Na is equal to 6.022 into 10 to the power of 23. Okay, this is the Na value. Now let us talk a little bit about this molecular speeds. To take a sample, let us say, so this is full of molecules. I am taking a gas sample in some confinement. Now if this is ideal gas, let us say, so there are, let us say, 50 molecules here. All molecules will have same speed. Okay, but ideal don't exist. In reality, real exist. Ideal men don't exist, real men exist. So similarly, gases are real. So here what happens? Let us say, first we need to understand some terms here. Let us say there are 100 molecules. Okay, and I pick some 5 molecules. Okay, 100 are there in the sample, 100 molecules are there in the sample, and I pick 5. Okay, so this 5 by 100. Now this is called molecular fraction. It is denoted by delta n by n. It is called molecular fraction. Okay. Now, how the speed is distributed means, in real gases case, the molecules will have, when you take a sample, they will have different speeds. So as per Maxwell, okay, Maxwell speed distribution. What are we trying to do? We are trying to study the molecular speeds. Okay, So if you take this on the y-axis and molecular speed parameter on the x-axis, the graph was observed to be like this. Okay, so you can see that when the molecular fraction attains a maximum speed, so at this particular value, okay, after this also molecular speed is increasing. Look at this is in the x-axis, this is in the y-axis. So what is this? This is fraction. This fraction can be 10%, 20%. So here it is 10%, 20%, 30%, 50%, it can be, or 80% also. You can see that the speed is increasing with fraction, the rise in the fraction value, and it is less for lesser fraction, but for maximum fraction it is having some speed. Okay, now this speed is called most probable speed. So what am I trying to say is, suppose 100 molecules are there, okay, and you take a fraction, let us say 70 molecules, okay, so 70 by 100, so 7 by 10 is the fraction. So 7 by 10 is a big chunk. Now 7 by 10 fraction is having, let us say, 50 meter per second. So this is your most probable speed. Okay, so this is one term you have to understand. There are formulas to calculate this. Just you need to understand this. Initially when the fractions are increasing, it's like, you know, that bell curve. Let me just adjust this camera. Sorry. Alright. What we have done is we have basically plotted the fraction, molecular fraction versus molecular speed, and the graph looks like this. Alright. And here for the maximum fraction we are getting a speed which we are calling it as most probable speed. This I have explained with the help of an example also. 100 molecules are there, let us say 70 or 80. Okay, 80 molecules. So what is the fraction? 7 by 10, they are having this speed. So this would be called as most probable speed. So this is one term. So there is another term which you come across, average speed. Again you take the sample and let us say this sample has got some 20 molecules. Alright. So 4 molecules are having 50 meter per second, and 7 are having 100 meter per second, and 9 are having, let us say, 200 meter per second. Okay, just some random example I am taking. So this average speed is basically a mathematical way of understanding. It's like, you know, average marks of your class. Okay, what do you do for the average marks? You take the total number of marks divided by the total number of students. But here we have to take the weighted average, because 4 molecules are having 50. So 50 has to be added 4 times, right? So it is like the average speed will be 4 into 50 plus 7 into 100 plus 9 into 200 divided by how many molecules are there? 20. So this will give you average speed. Okay, this is the concept behind the average speed. Average speed is basically pure mathematical. Suppose you say in the class that the class is having an average of 70% marks. But there can be a student who got 99% marks, and there can be a student who got only 40% marks. So average doesn't give you the correct picture. It is just a mathematical way of telling you. Most probable speed is the maximum fraction of molecules, what kind of speed it can have. That I have shown you with the help of a graph also. So there is a third type of speed which is called root mean square speed, that we will see now. So in this series, the third type of speed what we will study is root mean square velocity. It is the square root of the means of the squares of the speed of different molecules in a gas at given temperature. So what is the meaning of this? So let us say you have a gas sample, you have N1, N2 N3 and N4. These are number of molecules. In the previous example I told you 5 molecules, 7 molecules, like that, you know. So N1 have V1 speed, N2 particles have V2 speed, N3 has V3, N4 has V4, let us say. Okay, so Vrms is given by, so N1 V1 square plus N2 V2 square plus N3 V3 square plus N4 V4 square divided by the number of molecules, which is N1 plus N2 plus N3 plus N4, the square root of this. This is the meaning of root mean square speed. Now mathematically this gives a better representation, because actually this expression has come taking into account the kinetic energy of the particles. Okay, and kinetic energy depends upon the molecular mass and temperature. Okay, so till now we have seen most probable speed, average speed, and now RMS speed. Okay, these three. Better representation is Vrms speed, because it considers these two parameters. Okay, you can see in this term that this has come basically considering into account the kinetic energy of different molecules in the sample. So there are some formulae, you have to just remember them, which are needed to calculate these. So this I told you what is involved in this. By example, I told you the difference between what is the average speed, what is the most probable speed, and what is the root mean square velocity. Most probable speed and average speed, they don't give you like a good picture about the molecular speeds. Okay, they just are mathematical, but this considers the kinetic energy of the particles, and kinetic energy in turn depends upon masses and temperature, molecular mass, which type of gas you are considering, what temperature it is. Okay, so it gives a better representation. Next, temperature effect on molecular speeds. See students, if you take a sample of gas, okay, these are all gas molecules, okay, and you subject to some heat. So we are saying that the molecular speeds are increasing and all these things, you know. So these are experimentally proved things. You know, proper documentation has been done, and then it has been established. Just like that, we are not saying that when you are increasing the temperature of a gas sample, just the molecular speeds are increasing. So this graph shows you the graphical way. On the left side, on the y-axis, we have taken the molecular fraction. X-axis is the molecular speed. Okay, at particular temperature T1, we are finding that this is, what is this? This is the velocity most probable, VMP. Okay, this is also VMP. We can call it as 2, 1. What is happening? You see, molecular speed is increasing. The most probable speed is increasing, and most probable speed talks about the maximum fraction of molecules having that type of a speed. So let us say this fraction is 80%. So 80% had 100 meter per second at 20 degree Celsius, or 20 plus 273, 293 Kelvin. Okay. So same 80% now has 200 meter per second at some 40 degree centigrade. Okay. So that is how, when you increase the temperature, the molecular speeds are also increasing. Now till now we have seen the definitions of average speed, root mean square speed, and most probable speed. How to mathematically calculate this means, these are the formulas. Okay, V average is equal to root over RT by M is same for all. Here it is 8, here it is 3, here it is 2. R is the, what is R? Universal gas constant. Its value is 8.314 joule per mole Kelvin. Okay, you have to remember these values. Temperature must be in Kelvin, and important thing is this M. Now the unit for M, ensure that it is in kilograms per mole, not in grams per mole. Usually the values are given in grams per mole. You have to be very careful. It should be in kilograms per mole, then only this formula is valid. So depending upon the question, you should be able to calculate whatever is asked in the question. Usually this is asked. Okay, so you should remember this expression, and while doing numericals, it will be useful to you. Now let us see the pressure exerted by gas on walls of container. Okay, so basically we have taken a sample, okay, and it has got lot of molecules, so they are exerting some pressure on the wall also, isn't it? So we are interested in finding out that pressure. So what is the expression to find this? Okay, so for this, now carefully here we will take a container. Okay, now it has got some length L, width B, and height H. Okay, like a cuboid, like your room, and we take a particular molecule whose, see, these molecules will be having some, now this is your x-axis, this is your y-axis, and this is your z-axis, right? Now we take a particular molecule somewhere in the room, all right, which is having some speed v. It is having a speed v. Now this speed is RMS speed. The speed what I am talking about is, I have chosen the RMS speed. So obviously when this speed is there, so it will have three components. This v will have an x component vx, a y component vy, and a z component vz. So what is the resultant? So v square, v RMS square is equal to vx square plus vy square plus vz square. Now we will analyze this in the three directions, and to find the pressure exerted on the wall. Let us say this wall, I am calling this as A, B, C, D. Okay. Now this plane is perpendicular to the x direction. So it is a YZ plane. This is a YZ plane, let us say. Okay. You take a particular molecule which is traveling from this wall to this wall. Okay. And in the initial discussion I have told you that it must be a elastic collision. See, these molecules, between them they are having some collisions, right? And on the wall they are having some collision. What is the meaning of elastic collision? So suppose you are hitting a wall, the ball is hit with 2 meters per second, it will go back at 2 meters per second. That is the meaning of elastic collision. So similarly, if you take in the x direction, the molecule is coming and hitting this wall, right? So if it is hitting that wall, so what is the speed? The speed is Vx. So can we find out the change in, see, if you have to find pressure means you have to find force by area, right? So you have to find the force of the wall. Area of the wall you already know. So force you have to find out. So let us find out the momentum. So suppose this is that wall, I am drawing only that section. A particle is coming and hitting and going back. So what is the change in momentum? The change in momentum will be, if this was your Vx speed, this will be minus Vx speed. The change will be 2Vx. This is the speed multiplied by the mass of the molecule, which is m, right? So 2 into Vx into m. This will be the change in momentum. And what will be the time taken? Obviously, this from this wall to this wall it went, and again it went. Alright, so what is the distance travelled? Distance travelled is 2L divided by speed. So what was the speed? The speed was Vx, right? Understood what I said? So let us say this wall is there. You just see your room, side walls you see. From one wall to another wall, the particle is moving. Alright, from this wall to this wall, it moved. So it went how much distance? It went L distance and it came back. So it hit and came back. So obviously that there is a time gap. So that time gap can be given by distance by speed. Which speed we have to take? We have to take Vx speed because we are talking in the x direction. So we have calculated delta P, we have calculated delta T. So we can get the force. What is force? Delta P by delta T only, right? So it is 2 mvx divided by 2L by Vx. So here 2 cancel. This is mvx square by L. Now this is your force. This is your force, right? Now you are calculating pressure. So pressure, how you will get? Pressure is equal to force by area. So which area we have to take? We have to take this area. I will say here pressure in the x direction. Px is equal to force, which is mvx square by L divided by area. This area is B into H. So it is LBH. LBH is what? Volume. So we can write mvx square by volume of the cuboid. This is your Px, right? So once you get Px, in similar fashion we can get Py also. So Py, I am writing here, it is mvy square by same volume, and similarly Pz, I will get mvz square by volume. The argument is same for other directions also. The way we have derived this, we can derive for this also and this also. Alright. So now let us talk about the average pressure. So if you add these three, let us say total pressure is equal to Px plus Py plus Pz. Okay. So if you add these three, what are you getting? You can get m by v common. M by v common. And you are getting Vx square plus Vy square plus Vz square. But what is Vx plus Vy square plus Vz square? It is Vrms square, right? So it is m by volume into Vrms square. So this is the pressure. Now this is the pressure of one molecule. Alright? We have taken initially one particular molecule. But are there only one molecule in the system? There are n molecules in the system. There can be millions of molecules, right? So total pressure will be how much? This multiplied by m. So mv multiplied by m Vrms square, right? Now this is mass of one molecule and this is the total number of molecules. Will you not get total mass? Total mass of this container is filled with gas. So you have taken one molecule. All molecules are identical, let us say, and you know the number. Will you not get the total mass? So you will get here m divided by Vrms square, right? So here we have added, but we have to take what? We have to take average only. So it is not simply addition. So you have taken the xy plane, you have taken the yz plane, you have taken the zx plane. So you are calculating the average pressure. Average pressure will be divided by 3. So this whole expression has to be divided by 3. Okay? Why I am taking 3? Because this wall may be subjected to some pressure. Let us say in pascals if you talk. This is subjected to 50, this is subjected to 100, and this is subjected to 200. Okay? So what is the average pressure? You have to take 100 plus 50 plus 200 by 3. So that's what we have missed this. Divided by 3 we have to take here. So divided by 3. So here also you will get 3, right? So the expression for average pressure exerted on the wall is m divided by v, Vrms square. What is m by v? Is it not density? So it is 1/3 density into v square. This is the expression. This density is density of the gas. Okay? So this is one thing you need to understand. You need to remember. So just take a screenshot and write down everything. So the pressure exerted, average pressure exerted on the wall is 1/3 rho v square, where this v is RMS speed. Okay? It is not average speed or probable speed. It is the RMS speed. Now let us rearrange this. Can I write this like this? Multiply by 2 and divided by 2. Okay? So it is 2 by 3. What is this? This is mass by volume, no? So is it not mv square by volume? Look at this term. Is it not kinetic energy? Okay. Now this term is called kinetic energy density. Okay. Kinetic energy density. So this is another way of writing the same expression. So one expression is P is equal to 1/3 rho v square, where rho is the density of the gas. Or you can write 2 by 3 into kinetic energy density. Kinetic energy density is what? It is this term. Kinetic energy density is half rho v square. Okay. So these two ways you can write the value of what is the average pressure exerted by the molecules on the walls. It can be a top wall, it can be the side wall, it can be the ceiling if you consider your own room. So this expression you should know while calculating problems. It is required. See, how do you find this RMS speed means? Suppose you are given speeds 2, 4, 6, 1. Okay. So VRMS will be equal to 2 square plus 4 square plus 6 square plus 1 square divided by how many observations are there? 4 root over. So it is 4 plus 16 22, 4 plus 16 20, 20 plus 36 56 plus 1 57. So your RMS speed is root over 57 by 4 meter per seconds. Okay. So this is one part of it. Okay. So because you should understand how to find the RMS speed. Now we just had this expression, the pressure on the wall is 1 by 3 rho v square. Alright, this is the average pressure exerted by the molecules on the wall. It can be a side wall or roof, whatever. What is this? Rho is density. So 1 by 3 mass mv square by volume. Take this v that side. So this becomes PV is equal to 1/3 mv square. Just to bring in kinetic energy, I will write this half mv square. Okay, because I multiplied with 2 in the denominator, I have to multiply in the numerator also. So this becomes 2/3 Ke is equal to PV, or Ke is equal to 3 by 2 P. Okay, so this is one more expression for you. What is PV for ideal gas? So Ke is equal to 3 by 2 nRT. So this is the expression to find out the kinetic energy of the molecules in a gas sample. Okay, what is N? N is the number of moles. Okay, if only 1 mole is given, then Ke becomes equal to 3 by 2 RT. If only 1 mole is given, then Ke is equal to 3 by 2 RT. So you can see that this has come from basically this expression only. Alright. So you should know how to calculate the pressure on the walls. If you know the expression for that, you can arrive at an expression for kinetic energy of the molecules.